And I'm going to start with verse 25, which was in the Sanatana Bharatam group. The question of um, um, whether um, what actually is Sri Krishna saying when he meets, when he talks about this. Okay. In the class, in the Sanatana Bharatam class, it seemed like somebody was saying it is the Atma. Actually, uh, here he is talking about this is manifest, unmanifest, it becomes manifest and then becomes unmanifest again. So, my understanding of this or my interpretation of this has been that it is the Brahman. So, if that is the Brahman, then what is the Atma? This was the question that Lalita madam had spoken about in last class. Now, so before I start, let me just start formally. Namaste everybody. We are starting the Bhagavad Gita class today again, chapter 2. And we are talking about, today what we will address is the subject of what is the Atma. And here also it is a discussion. We are all in the same boat, trying to move from where we are to moksha stage. So in this particular class, the only thing difference is that here we try to understand the theoretical part rather than just the practical part which is done at the Yoga Vidya class. So in verse 25 I have interpreted it as the Brahman, that which is unmanifest, which becomes manifest and then it becomes unmanifest. That which is manifest is the Atma. So the question really is, what is the Atma? Where does it come from? How does it exist? Where does it go? What does it do? What is its role? What is its function? So these are the questions which are available to all of us. Why, who, where, how? What is the objective of the whole thing? The way I look at it is straightforward. First, we are all in a state of nothing. This classical example I've given before and I will give again today. You are standing in a queue. A bully comes and bullies into the queue. Now you have two options. First thing that you will experience is anger or agitation. Let's not call it anger. It's an agitation or turbulence that somebody has broken the queue. Why? Because you are constantly told or been told in your as a child that is dharma. The righteousness is to stand in a queue, go buy your ticket and go and catch the train. But here somebody has come and broken the queue. So your sense of righteousness or your sense of order has been disturbed, and so you feel a turbulence, and that creates in itself that turbulence now is there. You have to address it. There are two ways in which you can address it. You can keep your mouth shut or you can resist. In order to resist, suppose that other person is a hatta kata, looks really tough, you will get scared. So you have to overcome your fear and then you have to go and address that person and say, get out of the queue, you have to come in queue, go to the back. So the state of nothing is what you have been, you experience a turbulence and then you manifest. Who manifests? Each of us manifests individually. I manifest as Vishwanath. So my identity is the one that manifests. So my identity manifests as Vishwanath. Now the thing is that the null is the Brahman, the state of Brahman. I mean, I'm putting it in a very crude way, but if you take it right down to a non-material state, where the consciousness is not moving, that is the Brahman. Here, why am I giving you this experience? This example is because it's simpler. From null, you experience turbulence. From turbulence, you manifest. What manifests? You manifest as somebody. So there is a you, there is a manifestation. So Brahman, there is the turbulence. The turbulence is called spandana. The spandana then creates the identity. It's called the Purusha. The Purusha is what we are. Each of us has an identity. That identity is Purusha. And then that Purusha manifests as Prakriti, the manifestation of our Prakriti. So I am talking about normal day in and day out activities. Whenever we do something, we first experience spandana. Let us take another example. The buoyancy. That guy is sitting in this tub, watching the water slosh over the tub, and then it suddenly cracks. That buoyancy is the displacement of water equal to mass. Now that is, again, there is a spandana, there is an understanding, and there is a manifestation. So this is essentially what we have. In fact, almost everybody who has, Newton sat under the tree, the apple fell, there was a spandana, and he cracked the law of gravity. Similarly, if you take the benzene ring, he suddenly dreamed of the snake chasing its own tail, and then he came with the C6H6 benzene ring formula. And that's how he cracked it. So each of us has, we will be sitting in a state of nothing, a null, and then suddenly something happens. There is a internal drive which comes with a, which then creates something that then manifests. And this is very beautifully encapsulated in a verse by Adi Shankara in Saundarya Lahari, Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yati Bhavati Shaktya Prabhavita. So, the question now is what manifests? So really what we are saying is that everything here is artificial, it is temporary, and then it is going to, it will be coming from nothing, it will manifest and it will go back into nothing. So each of this has got a certain kind of identity, whether it is a mobile phone, a book, or a mouse. Everything has an identity, whether it is Jiva or Jadam. So the question really is, what is the difference between Jiva and Jadam? Jiva is obviously one that is sentient, that can smell, and that is visible, that is actively interacting with the environment. So the question is, does a Jadam have no way of interacting? Does it not have a personality? Well, the question really then has to be answered in this manner. We have a favorite mug, we have a favorite blanket, we like to, we will have a favorite place to sit in any place. How is that possible? If that place did not have an identity, would it be possible for a relationship to be developed between you and your mug? How many people have, when you sold a car, your old car, how many people have felt miserable for a few days? Uh, this kind of attachment that you develop can only happen if that thing had an identity, right? Now the question then is, what is this identity? So where does that identity come from? And this is where it is called. So let us go back to the theory of Brahman. From Brahman, the identity has come. What is the first thing that identity experiences? The first thing that identity experiences is I am, I exist. But if you will notice, just saying I am, I exist all the time means nothing. It has to be confirmed by something or somebody. That is, suppose I manifest. If none of you, if all of you just keep quiet and don't answer me or don't talk to me, this whole class becomes so, I don't know whether I'm saying the right thing or not saying the right thing. What happens to me then? I'll go puss. Just as if you're walking down the road, you manifest with somebody you know, that person looks through you, and it's happened to all of us. That person has looked at us and not acknowledged us. What happens? In Mumbai, we call it pachka. You have that feeling, you've gone and expanded, and all of a sudden somebody has pricked a hole in your balloon, and your identity shrinks. You feel miserable. Why? Because the acknowledgement is not there. So what happens is, from nothing we manifest, we need an acknowledgement. So what happens is, when somebody acknowledges us, we expand. And when somebody, after that acknowledgement happens, the first thing that we want is to build a bond with that person. Why? Because we want to continue having that acknowledgement. Because as long as that acknowledgement exists, we exist. My identity is dependent on somebody acknowledging that I exist. When that I experience, that is called Ananda. But when I fear the loss of that relationship, that is called Bhaya. So I experience the fear of loss of identity. So is that the reason why we are afraid to die? What is it that dies with us? Our identity, our asmita, our sense of self-worth, that we exist. So we are constantly struggling to establish our identity, to establish that we are valuable or we have self-worth. This is called asmita, the sense of self-worth. I am this. Now, this is in an intermediate stage. Let us look at the causal stage, at when this thing is happening at the microcosm. So at a microcosm, a micro identity rises out of nothing. Now, obviously, it doesn't know anything. It is going to rise, and then it's going to look for acknowledgement. When that acknowledgement happens between two quanta or two micro identities, they will form a bond. When they form a bond, what happens? They will interact with each other. That means they will give and take with each other. When they give and take with each other, somebody is going to give more, somebody is going to take more. How does this differential give and take happens? Because of awareness, and that is precisely what we are also talking about in the class, no? In the previous class. When we look at awareness, each of us is in a different state of awareness. Similarly, when these two individual microcosms are in a state of relationship, each of them is in a different state of awareness. And that awareness creates a differential between each other. So when one may pull, or one is in a relationship with something else, there is always a differential. This differential results in a difference in give and take, or the relationship between these two. And these is in a 360-degree thing. This give and take differential creates a debt. Somebody gives more, somebody takes more. Now the question is, who takes more or who gives more? The difference between this results in a movement with each other. Why? Because suppose I don't like you so much, or I don't like what you have said, you're going to push me away. If you like what I said, you're going to try and pull me closer because you want to continue the nice experience. Nobody likes to continue bad experiences. You will only stay in a relationship if that relationship needs something from you or means something to you. So similarly, in the microcosm, the same thing happens. When this happens, then what happens is that When they like each other, they try to pull each other closer. This is called raga. When they don't like each other, they push each other away. This is called dvesha. And the movement of each other relative to each other is karma. It's the action. It is a movement which happens. The differential that is created. Okay, now I'm going to stop here. I'm going to ask whether I'm making sense so far. Because, yes, Minu madam.
Sir, I just want to confirm that all that you have been talking about as, the identities and all, when we look at it from a completely spiritual point of view, then we are all Atma and we do not need any validation from anybody as Atma. But when we
Who says
have,
that? Where is the, now as an Atma, where is the evidence that you don't need validation?
Atma shorn of the body, I'm not talking about Atma coupled with the body. I'm talking about a disembodied Atma. What does it require? It doesn't require
Where is,
anybody to acknowledge it.
where is the evidence of a disembodied Atma?
Huh? Where is the evidence of a disembodied Atma? So when our body, when a person dies, the body is what's dying, and the Atma is. Krishna himself says that the body is the Atma is immortal. So it is not dying with the body, right?
Now, that is precisely the argument that I'm starting off with. No. Chapter 2, verse 25. What you're saying is the Atma, I'm saying is not the Atma. It is the Brahman. That is precisely where I'm having where I am saying that what Sri Krishna is talking about is the Brahman, and everybody is interpreting as Atma.
No. Atma is considered as one spark of the same Paramatma, so having the same qualities as an ocean and a wave. Same thing, but in a smaller piece. Small piece.
Okay, fine. There is only one difference here. When you are talking about the Atma as that is the little droplet which is part of a ocean. When it is part of the ocean, it is the Brahman, right? But the Atma has manifested, so it is no longer. While it is part of the Brahman, it is still experiencing everything, and it can only become part of the Brahman when it ceases to experience everything.
Well, that's what I said. When it is disembodied, it has no desire to connect with somebody. It's only when it is inside a body, that sense of I-ness, ahamkara, that it wants to connect and wants admiration, accolation, validation, all these things from another person. The more he gets, the more they get attached, and all that is when you are embodied.
Let me ask you a question. Where is the evidence that when you lose a body, you cease to experience?
You mean to say Atma experiences or not? Isn't that what you're saying?
The only time that the evidence that, okay, let me give you an example.
Sir, I will give you the answer for the first question you asked just now only. My thinking, of course, it's my understanding. Okay. You said, where is the evidence? In my understanding, even all the evidences we have when we are embodied is through the largely through the sensory perception. Okay. Karmendriya, Gyanendriya and all that. When we become a disembodied Atma, that means we have returned back to whatever we came back into the body. Body is gone. Okay. So now that Atma does not have the facility of these senses and all that. So it cannot experience those things, the ones which we were experiencing while alive.
Let me take you through a totally different thing. Okay, let us talk about death itself. When the body dies, let us look at the process. The first thing that happens is that the body becomes a preta. Now, the preta means a disembodied Atma. What is the experience of the preta? The preta is trying to get back to the body, which is why the karta first removes the evidence of the body, so that the preta no longer feels the need to come back to the body.
Yes.
That is the first part. That is called dahanam. Then we go to what is called sanchayanam. In sanchayanam, what happens? You take even the least small bits of whatever is there, pour milk and everything, and then what is the mantra you use? You are saying Dahana Janita Daha Tapa Upasamanartham. That is Dahana Janita, you that have experienced great heat, 1600 degrees Celsius. Dahana Janita Daha Tapa. That is the thirst and the heat, and also the lajja, that is the shame of having lost your clothes. All of that, upasamanartham, to ameliorate that, that is to bring down that effect. Tila udagam dadami, that is I am giving til and water. Vasa udagam dadami, vasodagam, that is I am giving cloth and water. The thing is that if you are saying that the embodied Atma will not experience that, then why should you do this?
No, I didn't
That doesn't
say.
make sense.
I didn't say.
It doesn't make sense. No, it means that the Atma is experiencing everything.
No, no.
Even when it becomes a Pitru, it is experiencing.
No, it's not the Atma. See, that astral body is there. No, they said that. Sir, one thing I want to make clear that I have gone through the funerary rites and all that for my mother-in-law, but being a woman, I've only been restricted to certain parts of it, not all of them, right? So I know this much, that the body is supposed to, they were saying mantram like Mata Preta. Okay, so as you said correctly, it becomes a Preta, but Preta and Atma are not one and the same, is what is my understanding. Preta
No,
is
it
just
is
the
the same
next
thing.
stage, maybe.
No. The Atma is the carrier of experiences. Okay, let us look at it in another way. What are the things? What is Vasana? What is the Vasana taken by the Atma? There are supposed to be 17. 5 of the 5 Jnanendriya, 5 Karmendriya, then you have the various, then 5
Mano, Buddhi,
Bhutas.
Chitta, Ahankara.
No. That is Adi Bhutas. That is, you've got the 5 states of matter. That is Prithvi, Apaha, Agni, and then Vayu and
Akash.
space, Akasha, plus Chitta, plus Buddhi and plus Buddhi and Manas. Only Chitta does not go. So these are the 17 things. What happens is the state of karma becomes an image, and that becomes is what is taken by the Atma. That means the Atma has a memory. It takes these as its karma or its debt. Only then it can go to another body. Otherwise, there is no choice. No, the whole logic does not work.
Yes.
So if for the logic to work, it means that there has to be something that carries this memory chip. This memory chip has to go from
Birth to birth.
From birth to birth. What is it that carries? Only the Atma can carry it.
Yes.
Your agami karma, whatever karma you are creating now, has to then be repaid. No, how do you repay it? If you are saying that the Atma cannot carry that memory, where will it go? Who takes that the karma?
Look, Atma carries a memory. I didn't say it doesn't. All I'm saying is that the Atma doesn't have the needs of the one that an embodied person wants, an approval or a validation from another embodied person. That kind of thing, I was saying.
See, the issue here is very simple. The issue here is you are talking only from a position of stula.
Yes.
When you go into sukshma, the problem is the same as your inability to feel what is happening. Then from there you have to go to karana also, no? So there is only one thing that can create everything. That means the Atma cannot die until it reaches moksha. That means it is all the time, even in a sukshma state, it is interacting with other Atmas and creating karma for itself, which is subtle. That's why he says, Gahana karmano gatihi. That is, the current of karma is very subtle.
Yeah.
It's very deep. It's actually, Gahana means it's very deep. But the point I'm making is that for us to blanket say that the Atma does not experience once it leaves the body, then whatever we do in terms of last rites is irrelevant. No? Why are we doing it? We are doing it because we are telling that body that you have experienced all this and I am helping you to get out of this in a proper manner. Why do we do on the 10th day? Why do we give that preta food without salt and allow it to get, that is to tell the soul that look, your time here is done. Now you have to get on your way. Next day, why do we roll that coconut with and say that this is the bullock? You catch hold of the tail of the bullock and start going. And why do we tell the bullock? That is also a coconut. We call it a bullock, and we tell the bullock, go drink fresh water, eat fresh grass, and take the soul wherever it has to go. So actually, we create a bullock, which is an Atma in itself. So the question really is that when does an Atma get created? Does an Atma get created only when you can manifest, or is an Atma everywhere here? When we go for Vivaha Samskara in marriage, we plant trees and other things in front, we put mango leaves. Only one part of the mango leaf is for oxygen and this and that. But the mango leaf has been cut out of the mango. Only for some time it can create oxygen. Why do we have fresh, why do we have a mango, I mean a banana stem which has got fruits in it? Because Pitrus are supposed to be part of the, will manifest as animals, as trees, as fruits and other things depending on their karma. And so when you do a Vivaha Samskara, first you do Nandi Shraddham. Why do you do Nandi Shraddham? Because you tell the Pitrus that we are doing the marriage for our children, and you as Pitrus, please come and in whatever form you are and come and bless the children. Correct?
Yes.
That is the mantra. If they were not if they were not Atmas, how would they be able to come? So, am I making sense?
Yes, sir. In the Pitruloka also, all the Pitrus that we talk of during Mahalaya and all that Pitru Paksha, they're also Atma only then, right?
Correct, correct. So, this is a very interesting thing that you are saying. The thing is that in Mahalaya Shraddha, there is something called Karunika Pitru Shraddha. So the thing is that you don't do just for your immediate Pitrus. You also do for certain your Gotras and things like that. And you can do so what happens is people for whom, and why do you use til when you do the tarpan? The til is actually so when you take the sankalpa mantra of a tarpana, what happens is that you are saying that I am doing, so there's a long mantra, and then you are saying that I am doing it for my Pitru. When you say so the sankalpa itself says that I am doing it for the Pitru. Thereafter, what happens is that you have to now make sure that your Pitrus or who you are going to invite. So you actually make them invite them and you give them, you then do the tarpana, because you put the darba and other things and then you create a body, you actually embody them, you give them a sthana, yata sthanam. Okay, then after that you do the tarpan. When you do that, you use the till basically to ensure, because what they say is that there are Atmas everywhere and many of them do not get water. So what is the Pitru's day cycle? Every waxing moon is the day, every waning moon is the night, and remember one thing, in our system, Dharma, 6 a.m. or when sunrise is the day start. It is not 12 midnight. It is When sunrise comes, day starts. So when mid-morning comes, Amavasya, it is noon. And that is when the Pitrus are supposed to be hungry. They want water. And you use till. The till is meant to ensure that others don't get the water. Those that are not in your Sankalpa mantra get the water. Because there are so many souls that want the water. If you don't do it that way, then what happens is that the souls that you are asking, the directing the water to, they don't get the water. That's why you use till. That is the job of the till, to to make sure that only whom you are directing it to get it, and not the others. It's like a blocker. It's like a blocker for others. So that to that granularity, these people have thought this through. Meenu madam.
Yes, sir.
So are you comfortable with the logic now?
Yeah. And so actually, you have made me think on a new thing that you said one sentence and then elaborated on it, that Atma dies when it reaches moksha. Okay, that is it.
Correct.
It ends its journey. Okay, of its existence. That I knew all along, but I could not connect it the way you had connected beautifully. That when the person dies, and then how does the atma, the karmas go to the next birth? That agami karma, what is the sanchita karma? Then if
Yes.
they cannot, and who is a carrier of those karma if atma is dead? So that kind of the way you connected and showed, no, that is really fascinating for me, and that's really new for me, because I had not thought deep enough. Well, let me be very honest. I was just thinking atma doesn't die, and it reaches up to moksha, but then what happens to the in between stages? And I, of course, I had many gaps in my understanding of a disembodied atma. Once someone passes away, then which loka are they in? What are they doing? Do they take birth immediately? There are this, I'm sure many of us, not only me, must be having gaps in knowledge about this part, because we don't know where
True,
to
true,
turn to and understand. My mother, when she
Yes.
true.
passed away, I was tormented for an entire year, 1.5 years, thinking, where is my mother? Where is my mother? You know, and then I would tell myself, no, no, she would have taken birth already in some other family. Oh, now she's part of another family. Oh, she's somewhere. When it becomes personalized as your parent or your brother or your child or something, all of a sudden we are into other kind of questions in our mind. Even
Correct.
today, I think like that. Oh, my mother, no, 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 she's not anymore my mother. Now the woman I knew as mother, that body is gone, and that atma must have become a child in some other family, some other, it sort of messes up your head so much, so I tend to avoid it. After certain level, I will switch off, because I know I'm going to go crazy if I think deeper, deeper, deeper. So I know
It is the attachment. It
yes,
is the
yes,
bandhana.
yes,
It is the
that
bandhana.
moham,
Okay.
what you call, no, that type of.
No, 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 no. Bandhana. The bandhana means it's the attachment which causes moham and then which causes ahankara.
Mm,
The question really is, so that is why I keep asking you all, when you all are practicing pranayama, when you all are practicing awareness, to look at yourself like an experiment, like a lab.
mm,
Why? Because when you separate yourself from the situation and the action, what happens is that there is a certain disembodiment in the way you look at yourself. And you yourself have said that from a childhood you've been
yes,
able to
yes, yes, that is the
the
only thing I
question.
am good at.
So the question is, you now, but then the thing is that there is still a, an attachment when the relationship is very strong. So what happens is that when that is why we are doing all the exercises to disembody the to separate ourselves and observe ourselves like lab rats.
Yes.
So that's the intent. Uh, Anybody else has any input?
Yeah. Um, See, the reason I had asked, I mean, that it was nice that you took it up promptly last week, is about Atma, Paramatma, and all, because I feel most of the confusion in anybody, in each one of us, anywhere, is because the definition of these terms is not specified, is not
Yes.
clear, because each school of thought, like Dvaita, Advaita, all Vishishta Advaita, all these, they have a different, the same thing is told in a different way.
Yes. Yes. Very true.
Just
Very
like
true.
Hanuman, it is said that once Sri Ram was and Hanumanta were discussing, and that time Hanumanta was expressing what was his way of how he relates to Rama. That question comes up. Then he tells a beautiful thing which also reflects all these three schools of thought, and it also explains the Atma part of it and the relationship in a very beautiful way.
Okay.
He says, Deha, when I look at it as a Deha, then I am your servant. And when I look at you as the from the what should we say, from the as an amsha, as this, but when we look at it as the Atma, this level aspect, then we both are the same. So the what should we say, the Sanskrit, this is also very beautiful. It says, Deha Buddhya tu dasoham. When I look at it from Deha Buddhi, I am this Deha, like that, then Rama, I am your dasoham. I am your dasa. But Jiva Buddhya Vadam Shakaha. But when I look at you as I am a Jivatma and you are my Paramatma, then I am your Amsha. Vadam Shakaha. I am your Amsha. So you are Amsha, I am. And Atma Buddhya Tvamevaham. When I look at it from the Atma, from the soul point of view, Tvamevaham, there is no difference. Tvam eva aham. You and I are same. So, iti me nishchitamati, he says. So, and this reflects the three different schools of thoughts also in our this. But what I am coming to is, so we have to be clear, what do we mean when we say Atma? That's why I had taken up the word Jivatma last time, mentioned the word, because and also one other point which under discussion, I'm going back to that, is I don't know, but fully I'm not an expert, but I feel Atma has, as it is told in the Gita itself, there is no death or anything to Atma. It merges, it loses its, the Jivatma or whatever we may call it, it loses its identity and merges with the Paramatma. That is like the wave becomes the ocean. So, it is like that. So, it is not, it is dying in the sense, it is no longer a wave, it has become the ocean. So, in that sense, we can say it is that Atma has died, I mean the Jivatma has died or whatever, but as such, we maybe better not to use the word dying or death for Atma, because it is so many times in so many places it is clearly said that there is no way it can be annihilated, it can be destroyed, it has no death or birth and all that. Now coming to the other
question
one.
here, let me interrupt you, Lalita madam. Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
Thing
please,
is that which is
please.
that we are talking about cannot be destroyed is not the Atma. It is the Brahman. Okay, we have to clearly separate these two. Okay, the Brahman is the state of null. Now, if you will notice all the thing that you spoke about, Hanuman saying this, the question really again comes back to what we are practicing. It's all an experience. We have to understand at the end of the day, whatever we may discuss, how is it going to help us? We have to be utterly selfish in this whole process. Once we say this, that when Hanuman sees Rama as an individual, Hanuman's soul sees Rama as a part of the soul, as a part of the jiva, and as a soul, Hanuman sees no difference. The clear, you come back to what we have been practicing all along. What I've been trying to say, you've got the physical body, we exist as individuals. Then you have to then begin to observe yourself. When you begin to observe yourself and you see that I am this, and then you begin to separate yourself from the body. So the Atma is looking at the body as the action that is happening. And then slowly the ahankara, or I am the doer part, begins to separate. The thing is, it takes time. So what we are doing is practicing. That is what Yoga Vidya is all about. Going from the physical state of separation of the two, object and subject, to understanding that we are part of the same amsa, and finally to realizing that there is no difference. When you reach that stage where there is no difference, the Atma is automatically merging into the Brahman. So the thing is that everything we are talking about, the interesting thing is, everything that all of us are talking about in the whole program is the same thing, using different words.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it cycles back to very simply this: how do you separate this particular thing? And number two, to what extent, to what granularity does the Atma go? That means, if you have an Atma in the body, it is carrying a particular debt load, karma, correct? Does the heart have an Atma? Does your liver have an Atma? Does your stomach have an Atma? That means anything that is an entity must have an Atma, because at the granular level, the atomic level, these two are relating to each other. That means they must have an Atma. What does this mean?
May I say something? May I interrupt?
Please.
The way I look at it, or the way I have understood it, is that the Parabrahma, the Paramatma, he's Sarvavyapi. He is everywhere. He is permeating every kana, anu, renu, everything. So, including a dead body, including anything and anyone. But when the body is born, or even before born, it is growing. Then when the Atma, it starts reflecting that Atman. The Atma is sort of, the Parabrahma is everywhere, the Paramatma is everywhere. But when it starts reflecting, manifesting the attributes, certain, not all, certain attributes of the Atma, because it comes with the, it's a sukshma sharira, sukshma jo uska karma.
Agreed, madam.
Plus,
I am not disputing what you are saying. I am only saying, where does it come from? It comes essentially. So we are not in conflict on that subject at all. What we are saying, what you are saying, and what I am saying is the same thing. I am only being a little more precise in my granularity, in the sense that, for example, if we are part of a whole universe, that is the Hiranyagarbha.
Yes.
So we are a microcosm in a Hiranyagarbha, because the universe is so big. Similarly, the cells in our body will view us as Hiranyagarbha.
Yes. At the macrocosm, it is Hiranyagarbha. In the microcosm, we call it, something like a Jivatma or Atma. That's where.
See, at the end of the day, you yourself had said that the problem comes in the terminologies. I am only saying that simplify the terminology. If you simplify the terminology, you call only Atma. the Atma exists even in a micro level. It is
Yes.
creating karma, it is creating its own debts. Every micro karma which has a relationship in a bond, a bandhana, is creating a debt, it is creating karma, it is born, and then it is migrating to another body in order to release its karma. That means what I'm just throwing something a googly at you all. That means that for as long as the heart has a relationship with the body, it will last in the body. The minute its debt to the body is gone, the heart will stop functioning, the liver will stop functioning, the stomach will stop functioning, the kidneys will stop functioning. The minute the Atma stops or it reconciles its debt to the body. It is actually very, very mathematical.
Sir, I
Yeah.
have something to say here. Two things,
Please.
small ones. One is that when you said, does the liver have an Atma and the heart has an Atma, or how does it work? My thinking was that it is consciousness that pervades in the body while we are alive that makes them relate to each other, and those cells and all have that knowledge that is due to the Chaitanya inside. That was one thing I wanted
Yes.
to say. The second
One
thing,
question I
Yes.
have. Are you saying that this does not have a consciousness?
everything has consciousness, but to different degrees. A stone and a
Correct.
tree have consciousness, but it is not to the level of a human body. So,
Fair
Yes.
enough.
right? So that's one point I wanted to say. Just like that, I'm mentioning. And the other thing was that when you said that the Atma has to, we'll call it an Atma only, and then it's dead to the body. No, it's
The
when
debt.
it reconciles its karma, then it leaves the body. My understanding was that the body is used as a vehicle of a tool,
Yes.
an instrument by the Atma to
Yes.
work out its previous Sanchita karma or
Fair enough.
Prarabdha karma,
Yes. Yes.
Fair enough.
while
Fair enough.
embodied in this one body in this one lifetime that it is taken in one particular
Fair enough.
chance.
Fair
These
enough.
are the only
Fair enough.
things I wanted to kind of
I
add.
wanted to,
Yes.
Minu madam, excellent. I'm glad that you asked this question. I want to ask you another question.
Yeah.
You have the body as a sigma. I am only saying that the body is a sigma of many atmas, and I don't think you are disagreeing with me on that. So you have the sigma atma, that is the one that is the consolidated atma, which is carrying a debt. But within the body, there are many other atmas which are actually reconciling their own debt, creating new debt, and things like that. The only thing is that they have their own atmas which is moving in a different pace, not necessarily the pace of your atma. The
So you are
atma that
saying
you are
there are
now.
several Atmas in the same body?
If you can remain in Hiranya Garbha as a different atma, why should there not be smaller atmas in your body?
No, there is
That's
just
the
one Atma per body.
Why do you say that? I am saying that how is it that your body has a. Okay, if that was the case, why is it that my stomach cannot be used in your stomach?
Well, it can be nowadays what they do, those transplant and all.
Now you're hair splitting. You're hair splitting.
No,
No, no,
you
no. We
asked
know
why
that
can't your stomach be used? Well, why can't your heart be
you
used in
can't.
someone
No,
else's?
you
No.
can't. No, the
No.
very
No.
They do
you can't.
transplant, no, now. So they do it.
But
No. No.
okay,
No.
if you use
1
the
minute.
transplant, you need to have drugs to compensate for that. No, you create karma in order to make sure that the stomach works in your body.
What karma?
You use medicines not to ensure that there is no rejection.
That is to cure the body, or rather bring it
No, no,
back
no,
to
no, no.
normal.
You use a medicine to ensure that the body does not reject the foreign object.
We are not using a separate medicine for the body not to reject the thing, and then a separate
Wait. No.
medicine to heal the body.
Let us say that you have that I have a kidney failure. Okay,
Sir, please
and
don't
I
say such
say,
things.
let me. What else can I say? I have to use an experiment on
No, no,
myself
no,
only.
no, no,
No.
not such kind of
Okay.
bad ones. Some nice ones you say.
Okay. Let me say that my heart fails.
Oh
So
God.
so somebody has to. There is a cadaver, and that I get a heart or a kidney. That kidney, my body will reject that kidney, and I need anti-rejection medicine in order that the kidney will function inside my body. This is a medical reality.
Right.
Okay, the point I'm making is, if that was not the case, then I should, if the case was that it is the Atmas are all the same, there should be no problem in me accepting another kidney without any problems.
But it is body
I,
to body acceptance. Where is the Atma coming in
why?
the picture?
No, the question is, after all, karma of the body is created, is the all my karma is being taken by Atma only. No, it is the one that is carrying all the karma.
No, that is okay. But right now we are talking about on the physical level, a body is requiring another maybe transplantation or something from another body. That's on a physical level. Where is the Atma coming in the picture?
All I'm trying to say is that an Atma is a summation of many smaller Atmas. The reason the logic I'm giving for that is that, do you know that in every 12 years or so, the entire cell structure in your body changes? That is why we have aging.
Yes.
Yeah, 7
If
years.
7 years, okay, great, fine.
7 years.
If it is 7, I stand corrected and I thank you for that. But the point is that if it is in 7 years, it means that there is if there is regeneration of the body in 7 years, something is dying, something is getting created in the body.
Yes.
What is it that is getting dying and what is it that is getting created?
Those
It has
cells
to be an
only.
Atma.
No,
It is an Atma, no?
No, it is a physical, biological matter. The
It is
physical cells.
Where does the physical
one.
go? Now again you go back to Brahman, no? From Brahman something gets manifested, from manifestation it comes to null. So if something is getting
1
created,
minute.
what is it that is
I
getting
think
created?
Lalita madam wants to say something here.
One minute. What I feel, what I have understood is that it is the body which dies. Which, as it was mentioned earlier, that it has finished its utility or function or operations, and it is fallen dead, and the Atma still continues. It's on its journey. That particular Atma with this sukshma content. Now the other part was whether we have many Atmas in ourselves. It is very possible to think on those lines, because just like in the macro, in the Hiranyagarbha, each one of us is an Atma, sort of. That's why it is called Jivatma, because we are with the body, one, and each individual part, a wave kind of thing. So it is each one of us is there. Similarly, in micro level, if it is, we can sort of say that the Hiranyagarbha is like our one's own body. Then all the cells, all the organs, all the little tiny parts or whatever it is, are all the different Jivatmas. They have their own body structure, they have their own aspects and life cycle, everything. So, but the Atma, 1 minute, but the Atma is ever present. It remains as it is, just like the Akasha is there. It is remains, and we may construct structures. We may build a house, we may build a building, and call this, even in the house, this is our drawing room, dining room, like that. Each is an Atma, sort of, each in the space. But I would call that Jivatma, because then if once the structure is removed, the walls are removed, it is the same, the Ghatakasha and Matakasha. Maybe instead of Jivatma, we can call it Ghatakasha and Mahakasha or Matakasha. That is the in the pot, the space Akasha, that which is inside, is actually the same as outside the pot, but the body of the pot, the clay pot, gives us a feeling of difference, that this is inside and that is outside. Like that, we also feel this body is like that. If we take our body like a ghata, we think this is inside our body and that is outside. In Advaita, it is all one and the same. And that's why at time when I started this, I was wondering, should we think about the body? When I'm trying to think, I am not the body, mind and intellect, and we are all far beyond it. We are all beyond it. But then I thought we can only go there from the known to the unknown.
But
So
ma'am,
I
Correct.
can understand.
sorry, you said
Please tell.
this is a Advaita's point of view, right? And you also agreed there are other two more points of views like Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita. So they may
Yes.
explain it in a different way altogether than how you are explaining it
See,
as
the thing is,
Yes,
Advaita.
yes, yes,
let's.
yes.
No, there is
But
not. There is
since
actually no
we try
difference.
to follow Advaita school of thought, I got back to it.
Okay.
That it is all one and the same finally. So it is not even merging. It is
No, but
that we
the very
already are
foundation
the
of
Paramatma.
no, ma'am,
Yeah, the
but the
foundation
very
is the same.
foundation.
Lalita madam, the foundation is
Uh,
the same. There is no change. It is the way it
yes,
is addressed that is different. No, the
yeah,
question is not that.
explain.
Okay, now, we need to get feedback from others also.
Sir, but
Say
also
Anand
please
sir.
address the aspect of consciousness in all of this we have been talking. I feel
Yeah,
that
no,
that
no,
has
no.
not been talked yet.
The, we've got only 1 hour. We've got
No,
two.
I don't mean in this one class. I'm just saying
Okay. Yeah,
the
yeah,
role of
it has to come.
consciousness. Yeah.
Anand sir, Lakshmi madam, Ramon sir, Kala madam, all of you all, does anybody have a view on, does anybody want to say anything?
Sir, may I, sir?
Yeah, please.
While everybody was discussing these points, my mind went a little alag, sir, different path, especially about the no movement state, Brahman, which you were telling. So I understood, like, I may be wrong, sir, but I'm just saying, when we are not having any movement, then it is in Brahman state, which means we are not reacting at all. That is Brahman.
Correct. So
A
that is
little bit of
it is called Chitta
little
Vritti Nirodha, where the consciousness stops moving, that is called Brahman.
Brahman. Now this Atma that we were all discussing, I was hearing the discussion. What I felt is, now you said, no sir, Atma has memory, and that is what is making us take another Janma. That memory is taking us to other bodies. At the same time, I was thinking great saints like Ramana Maharshi or Shirdi Sai Baba or any other saint, they were all also embodied at one point. Now they are not having body, but they are so powerful. We go to their samadhi. We get, even now they answer our prayers. So
Correct.
they are all
How is
not
it possible?
having so they are not,
How is it
that's what I
possible?
got. So I thought they don't have a body, they don't need a body, they are not having any movement, so they are in the state of Brahman, so they are able to answer us. I don't know if I'm
Actually,
making any sense.
see, until you reach that stage, it is difficult to say whether you are right or wrong. Okay, that's not the point. The point is this, that the question really is, how important is it to be embodied in order to be able to. So once you are embodied, obviously you cannot be Brahman. So the thing is that the how does one let go? And you very correctly said in the beginning itself, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, where the Chitta stops moving, that is the point where it's a state of null, which you will find. And how do we represent it in our daily life? It is like a gata, that what Lalita madam was talking about. It is a gata, or what we call kumbhaka. When I'm teaching you all kumbhaka, why do I keep telling you don't force the breath to stop? You just let it be. Because when you experience that state of kumbhaka, that is the state of Brahman. The manifestation of the state of the Brahman is there in the Garbhagraha of the temple. Why do you have that kind of a Garbhagraha where there is nothing? The state of null. And in
Yes.
that state of the null, you have a idol. It is called a Vigraha. What is a Vigraha? Vigraha is also called a Pratima. Pratima is your reflection. Vigraha is something that you hold on to.
Yes, sir.
Graha is the English cognate of the Sanskrit word grab. You
Yes, sir.
grab onto it for an anchor,
Okay,
but
sir.
it is inside the state of null, a state of nothing. That
Okay,
is
sir.
called Kumbhaka. When you can get into a state of Kevala Kumbhaka, the body exists.
Yes.
Even when
Okay,
the
sir.
body is gone, the awareness is still there. You are still
Okay,
there in the state of the Brahman. And
so
then you
while
are able
body
to.
is there how to be like that is what you are suggesting. Is it, sir?
That is the journey that we are following in Yoga Vidya class.
Okay, sir. But I feel that as long as that spandana or turbulence you said is there, it is very difficult to be in that no movement state, sir. Then we are as good as dead, no, sir. If nothing moves us, how can we do that while being embodied and while having like it's like disturbance? Somebody we don't agree. Righteousness sense.
Which is why both the classes are important. Yoga Vidya teaches you to be aware, and
Yes.
the Srimad Bhagavad Gita is also is another aspect. It takes another aspect of knowledge of how to understand what we are doing and why we are there, because it's that's also the reason why I'm forcing each of you to come out with discussion. Why do we need to discuss this? Because points of view are absolutely vital. Of See, the thing is that nobody today has spoken anything that is different from the basic principle that everything starts from nothing, something manifests, and then it goes back into nothing. In the end, everything is coming down to the same state. Nobody has ever differed from that. Everybody is saying the same thing. Have you recognized that? Everybody is saying we start from nothing, we become something that's called Maya, and then we go back to nothing. And the experiencer is the Atma.
Yes, sir.
Now, whether that experiencer exists in the granularity of the body, that is all subjective. We can that discussions will continue to happen. But the fact remains, why am I telling you all? Why am I pushing you all into these discussions? Because the minute you get into the granularity, you begin to reflect. It is called Swadhyayam. You begin Adhyayam. You start beginning to research, look inside. You begin to experience. As the experience becomes more and more and more subtle, you begin to start becoming a Ramana Maharishi, or you will start becoming a Ramakrishna Paramahamsa or something like that yourself. Then the things start moving.
One point I wanted to mention. See, this is why I was saying that each word can mean something different to each one.
Yes.
For example, the word spandana, for me, what I have understood is that spandana is the connect. It's that connection with that all pervading thing, the power, the vibration. So, or Paramatma, whatever one calls it. But I wouldn't even think of it like turbulence. So it is vibrancy. It's that great, wonderful vibration which one feels, which one gets that wave of joy or whatever one feels many times, for even on a mundane matter maybe, but it may be on a physical level. But when it is at a much deeper core level, then that is the spandana.
So for me, it was spandana.
It is the
for me, spandana was more like a pulsation. It's small pulsation, a vibration.
See, the pulsation that comes from null. See, the thing is that there is a fundamental difference between what Meenu madam is saying, Lakshmi madam is saying, I am saying, and you are saying. See, the thing is that you are saying that the spandana comes when you experience the null. It is actually the reverse. The spandana comes when you are getting out of null. Because in the state
I would call the null as Satchitanand. That is, the awareness is there, the joy is there.
You are using a different term. That is Ananda. That is Ananda. It is not Spandana. It is Ananda.
So the feeling of in Spandana, one feels all these three.
No. Ananda is Ananda. Don't confuse Ananda with Spandana. Ananda is when you have merged. There is nothing there beyond that. Spandana is what creates matter. Spandana is not the merger. Then that is yoga. You've gone into yoga. You've gone into Turiya state. So the thing is, we have to be very clear. From how does matter come out of null? The starting point is spandana. in when you are talking about Satchitananda, Ananda means it is the yoga. You have already reached yoga. Your yoking is complete. You've reached a stage where you have merged with the Brahman. So your experiences of total, there is no further karma left for you to accomplish. Karma is now zero because you've merged with the Brahman. So there is the Atma itself has, like you said, Hanuman and Rama have merged. There is no further identification. There is no difference in
Yeah.
identification. So that is Satchidananda. That is different, completely different state. Okay, now we've already done this.
But for I'm just asking the reason for your using the word null, because in my mind every time you say null, I think of Purna. It is the wholeness.
Purna is,
It is
okay. I will take this up again next class. There is one
okay.
Kala madam has wanted to talk. So Kala madam, you
Sorry.
wanted to say something.
Sir,
Yes. We
I'm
would
hit
like
by
to hear. We would like to.
yeah, I'm hit by number of information bouncing at each other, so many things colliding and all that. What I'll do is after I lit the lamp, I will go back to your textbook, sir. I will go from the beginning. I'll get clarity. I'll go back to the textbook.
But you must contribute. You must ask the question, okay? Because at the end of the day, we are all in this together. Everybody, unless everybody tries to hit moksha, we are not winning. We have to ultimately hit moksha. That is the prime understanding or requirement of life. So I'm going to leave you at this stage, not because I want to, but because I think we've run out of time.